Hello, everybody. Hi,
Hello.
Erica. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, and you?
Yeah, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Where are you, Erica? Are you in which city?
I'm in Brisbane.
I'm in Brisbane. All
Yes.
right. Yeah, there are a few from Brisbane. Yeah.
Yes.
How long have you been in Australia?
Um, 3 years and a half.
3 years and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
You electrical engineer?
Yes.
Electrical engineer. Yeah.
hmm
Where are you from? From Brazil?
From Brazil, I'm from the state of São Paulo,
São Paulo.
a town called Campos do Jordão.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, very famous.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter time.
Yeah, but now it's in quarantine, so
It's yeah, everything there.
yeah.
Must be very frustrating because winter is coming and they're probably expecting to have a lot
Yeah.
of business there. Yeah,
Yeah, the town needs the money to survive.
yeah, that's true.
From
Yeah.
the week, yeah. But this year, unfortunately, we don't know how it's gonna be.
Yeah. Hi, Carlos. How are you?
I am good, and you?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Is there anyone that does not speak Portuguese in this meeting? Because otherwise, if they are all Brazilians, we can do in Portuguese.
Well, I know that yesterday, Nicholas, there was one Nicholas. Yeah, Carlos saying that he doesn't speak Portuguese. Where are you from,
Oh,
Carlos? You can unmute if you want to. He's from Peru.
Yeah, hi, Jason. How are you?
Yeah, well, thanks, Carlos. Yeah, so you're Peruvian.
Yeah, I'm Peruvian, peruano.
Yeah. All right, peruano. Lima.
No, Arequipa. I'm from Arequipa.
Arequipa. I don't know Arequipa. Yeah, I know. I did a post-graduation study in Japan with a Peruvian lady, and she told me that in Lima, the houses, they don't have roof because it doesn't rain. Is that true?
Yeah, no, it doesn't rain. It's very rare. And if it's a rain, it's just not even a little shower. It's just some drops and that's it.
Yeah, because she was saying that her house, she had a roof, like with tiles and everything,
Yeah.
but was more like a architecture feature. It's not like functional.
Yeah, it's like sunshades or something like that, but it's not like to cover for the rain or that kind of things.
Yeah, that's really
No, it's
interesting.
dry.
It's interesting.
It's really dry. Lima is really dry.
Yeah, yeah. Arequipa is far from Lima. Or?
It's like free Sydney to Brisbane, same.
Ah, right. 1,000
But in
kilometers.
Arequipa, it rains a lot. It rains.
Ah, all right. Okay.
It's totally different weather.
No, it's good when it rains because you don't really have issues with not raining. Could be very dry and
Yeah,
water
no, it's
water
good. It's good.
supply and
Yeah, no, it's good. But sometimes the rain is so hard that it flood the whole city. That's the only problem.
yeah.
But it's a
And
nice place to live.
yeah. And I think Camilo, you also you from Colombia?
Hi, Gerson. Yeah, I'm from Colombia. I'm
You're
from
from Colombia.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think yesterday we had Nicolas from Argentina, but I don't know if it's the same Nicolas. We've got one Nicolas here. Where are you from, Nicolas?
I'm Nicholas, but yeah, I'm from Argentina too, but I'm not the same Nicholas as yesterday.
Ah, all right. So we had two Nicolas and two from Argentina yesterday. Because you were here yesterday as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Yeah, Carlo. Yeah, we've got few non-Portuguese speakers. So yeah.
No, that's all good. That's all good, guys. Whenever you want to start, just let me know.
All right. So we'll probably start. I'll just I'll just, oh, sorry. So I think we can probably start, Carlo, you can share your screen and then, well, I'll introduce Carllo Castriota. He's a migration agent. He's also Brazilian. And he's been living in Australia for like, what, 15 years?
15 years now.
15 years, yeah.
2005.
2005, so same, we probably caught the same plane. And Carlo is helping a lot of students, not just here in Brisbane. Well, he's actually on the Gold Coast, but he helps the students worldwide.
Not only students, I have a few engineer clients applying for skilled visa and also sponsor visas. And today I want to talk to you guys a lot about sponsor visas because I have worked with several engineers that apply for jobs in New South Wales, Queensland, and Melbourne, and they got an opportunity, and now they are sponsored and working as an engineer and just waiting to apply for a permanent visa. And that's a good opportunity, as well as the skilled visa. So Gerson invited me to have a chat with you guys just to talk about how to get a permanent visa, how an engineer can get a permanent visa. Look, the reality is that my job and the migration agent's job is to help you to maximize your chance of getting this PR, right? I'm going to call PR permanent visa. But in reality, you're never going to be sure that you're going to get. And I'm going to explain why that's how it works, okay? You're always going to be depending on somebody else or something else, all right? But look, today I'm going to tell you what you have to do to maximize your chance to get the highest chance as possible to get the permanent visa as an engineer. I'm not going to be talking about the skills assessment. I'll leave this with Gerson. He's already explained to you what you have to do to be recognized as an engineer. But I'm going to be talking about like the pathways, how you are going to use these skills assessments to get a PR. So I'm going to share my screen here. Before I share my screen, no, actually I'll share my screen now. Just let me know, guys, if you can see my slides here.
Yes.
Can you see my slides?
I can.
Okay, it's just the first slide, setting noise. Is it the one that we're seeing? All right, so before I start talking to you guys, I just would like to let you know that I own my own firm, Blue Migration, and I have another migration agent, Kate. She's Australian, and we always have two migration agents working every client. In every submission, every documents that we reviewed, it's always reviewed by somebody else, just to minimize mistakes and that can happen, you know. So yeah, if you guys sign in with us one day, you can know that we're gonna have two migration agents looking after you. So before we start everything, it's important to know about the lists, what the lists are. And I'm gonna treat you guys as you don't know anything about migration. You know, you might know a few things, but I'm gonna treat you as it's the first time that you're finding out how to get a permanent visa in Australia. The way that the government organized the list of occupations is through those three lists here, okay? The medium and long-term strategic skill list is the list of occupations that the economy, the Australian economy, the government believes is going to be in high demand to a medium and long term. So basically, that's what the government is looking for, those kind of professionals, you know, and engineers, most of them are on that list. So that's great for you guys. You are one of the occupations that the country wants, okay? Short list, there is not much demand, you know, the government like doesn't want those occupations, but there are a lot of companies that are struggling finding professionals in that field. So the government has the short list as a way to assist companies and small business to grow in Australia as well. And there is also a list of occupations that can be used only for regional areas, just to motivate the increase of the low growth population areas, okay? So basically, I believe you all are gonna be on the medium long-term list, which is great. So what are the 3 pathways for someone, doesn't matter where you're coming from, to get a permanent visa in Australia? These are the most common avenues that someone gets the permanent visa, okay? I'm not gonna talk about the third one here. This is relationship. We're gonna be focused on the first and second avenue, okay? The first avenue is the employer-sponsored avenue. That's when you are gonna depend on an employer. You need to find a company that is willing to offer you a full-time job, okay? So basically, you can apply for jobs. If you are an engineer, have work experience, has already the level of English required to do the Engineers Australia Skills Assessments, which is 6 on each band of the exam, you qualified for any of those sponsor visas here that we're going to be talking in more details in the next slide, okay? So basically, this first avenue, you are depending on an employer to get the permanent visa. On the second avenue, the skilled migration program, this is the program that involves points, okay? We're gonna be talking about points as well. For the second avenue, you don't need an employer, okay? This is the pathway that depends a bit more on you than anybody else, but you also gonna be depending on the government. You need to receive an invitation to apply for a permanent visa. The only thing that you can do in this pathway here is to get as many points as possible and express your interest to get a visa. But you then need to sit and wait for an invitation, okay? So basically, when I tell you that my job is to maximize your chances, but you're never gonna be sure if you're gonna get a permanent visa, it's because you're always gonna be depending on someone to get this PR. The first avenue, you're gonna depend on an employer, okay? A lot of things can happen during that pathway. The company can close, or they can fire you, or a lot of things, or even the employer maybe he doesn't want to nominate you for a permanent visa, okay? The second one, you depend on an invitation from the government, okay? So that might not come. So you never know if you're gonna receive an invitation here. And the third one here, the guys, they depend on their partners, or they depend on their relationship. So you're always depending on someone, okay? So am I clear until now? Is everything here, everybody's hearing me fine? Can you understand me?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay. So,
Oh, good.
So for the next 10 minutes, we're going to be talking about the employer avenue, okay? And I'm going to explain how do you get a sponsor? How do you get an opportunity to work and get a sponsor in Australia? First thing, if you are in Australia under a student visa or graduate visa, post-study visa, I believe you're going to have more chance of finding a sponsor. Because if you are on a student visa, for example, you can apply for a job and try to work part-time, 20 hours per week, and try to find that company that is willing to offer you a full-time position. It's not easy because you have work restrictions, and a lot of companies that are looking for engineers, they want someone working full-time. It's very hard for an engineer to find an opportunity with only 20 hours per week permission to work. So, but it happens, it can happen. And the way that it works is that you need to find a sponsor, a company. That's this first circle here. And for the process to succeed, we need to lodge 3 applications with the Department of Home Affairs, okay? We need to apply for the department to approve the company to be able to sponsor you. That is easy. The company doesn't need much. They just need to prove that the company is registered. They don't have any debits with the taxation office, and they are trading, okay? So that license, the standard business sponsorship, is not complicated. Just by analyzing the company, I'm able to tell you if the company can sponsor you or not. The tricky part is the second application, which we call the nomination. That's when we have to prove that this company requires a civil engineer working for them full-time, or electrical engineer. We need to demonstrate that the company needs a full-time engineer working for them. Plus, we also need to prove that they could not find an Australian to occupy their position. We call labor marketing test. We need to test the market. And this I have an external company that usually does this job for me about the labor marketing test. They're great. They kind of publish the advertise, leave the advertise published for 30 days. And my last client had 150 applicants for the position. This external company, they select just the best candidates, and they interview all of them, and they eliminate all of them. And that's when we receive a report from this external company explaining why none of the applicants are not suitable for the position, okay? And the department decides if they believe the position is genuine and the company really needs that engineer, they approve the nomination. The last application is your visa. That's when we have to prove that you are qualified, you have work experience, you have the level of English required. We're gonna go through this slide, what is required from you, okay? But that's how it works for the company and the position. So if you are in Australia and you find an opportunity, you find someone that wants to contract you or wants to offer you a full-time position, feel free to contact me. It's my interest as well to get in touch with the company, because you might be a potential client for me. If I send a questionnaire to this company, it's one-page questionnaire. With that information and your resume, your CV, I'm able to let you know if you have chances of proceed with this process or not, okay? And so let's go to the next slide. So which visa options do we have for this avenue? These are the 3 visa options that you guys have, okay? You can be sponsored under the temporary working visa 482 anywhere in Australia. Oh, sorry, I changed here by accident. The 482 temporary visa, it's the old 457, okay? And this is a visa that it's a 4 years working visa. And for you to be able to get the permanent visa, you must work 3 years for the same employer for them to be able to nominate you for the permanent visa. This 482 visa, you will depend on your employer. If your employer after 3 years tell you that they don't want to nominate you for the permanent visa, you cannot get the PR, okay? You totally depend on your employer here. Was I clear? 482, you can be sponsored anywhere in Australia, even Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, doesn't matter if it's regional area or not, if your occupation is on the medium long-term list, okay? There is another way. The quickest way for an engineer to get a permanent visa is through the 186 direct entry, okay? The direct entry, it's when a company wants to sponsor you, giving you the permanent visa straight away. Companies usually, they don't do that because they want to hold you on the 482 visa first for minimum 3 years, for then nominate you for the 186 through the temporary transition entry. That's better for the company. However, I have worked in some cases where the company that doesn't care if they're going to hold you there or not. They want to help you more than keep you there, okay? In this case, the direct entry is the best scenario. I'm gonna tell you the requirements for the direct entry pretty soon as well. And there is the 494 skilled regional visa, which is a 5 years working visa. The position must be located in a regional area. What does that mean? Anywhere in Australia, guys, except Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. If you are located anywhere in Australia that is not these 3 cities, you might be also eligible to be sponsored for this regional area. What is the difference? Why would I want to be sponsored for this 494 regional visa instead of the 482 that I can get anywhere in Australia as well? The difference is that the 482 is a temporary visa for 4 years, and you don't get Medicare here. And you, after 3 years, you depend on your employer to apply for the permanent visa. The 494, it's a 5 years working visa. You can get Medicare straight away. And after 3 years working for an employer, you don't depend on an employer to nominate you. You can apply for a permanent visa by yourself. Okay, just proving that in the last 3 financial years, you have worked for your employer and paid your taxes, you know. So the skilled visa, the regional visa, it has more advantages than the temporary visa 482. Was I clear here?
Yes.
Yes.
So for these 3 visas here, what are the requirements? Okay, so basically for you to be able to be sponsored under the temporary visa 482, you need to prove 2 years full-time work experience. And you need to have 5 on each component of the IELTS test. IELTS or equivalent to IELTS in any other English exam accepted by the department. PTE, TOEFL, Cambridge, they're all accepted by the department, okay? So this is the visa that requires the minimum level of work experience and IELTS score, okay? 186, direct entry, requires you to have 3 years of full-time work experience, and this work experience must be post-qualification, okay? You must do the skills assessments with Engineers Australia, and you must have 6 on each band of the IELTS exam or equivalent English test. Okay, so the requirements here are much higher than these ones because they are giving you the permanent visa straight away. 6 on the IELTS, guys, you are gonna have to get the 6 on the IELTS anyway, right? Engineers Australia requires 6 on the IELTS for you to be able to start the skills assessment with them. So about IELTS here, you're gonna comply with all the requirements here for any visa, because engineers is going to ask you this 6 on each band of the exam. Okay, you might need higher points on the IELTS only for the skilled visa that we're gonna be talking later on. And the regional visa also requires a skills assessment and 3 years of full-time work experience and the 6 on the IELTS. All right, so if you have noticed, the 482 visa did not require skills assessment, okay? However, the department will ask you guys, all engineers, to do the skills assessment because Gerson, I think, spoke with you guys that in Queensland, for example, you cannot work as an engineer if you are not registered by the Queensland Engineers Association. And all the states having their own legislation. They are trying to unify everything with Engineers Australia. But if you want to work as an engineer, you better do the skills assessment and register yourself wherever state you are. You know, that would be the best scenario before applying for the skills for skilled visa or sponsor visa. We can apply for any of this process, sorry, for the 482 visa before the decision of your skills assessment, okay, if you are being sponsored. We can just demonstrate that you have lodged already the skills assessments and you are waiting for the registration. That would be fine as well for the 482, but not for the 186 or 494. Those two, you need to do the skills assessments and have these skills assessments approved first. Okay.
Hey Carlo, there's a question from Camilo. Camilo is asking, what if the government changed the regional areas in the future, but he's already working under the today's conditions?
If, for example, you're working Gold Coast as under the 494, and in a year time, Gold Coast is not regional area anymore, I don't know. We need to wait and see what the government is going to tell us in relation to all those 494 workers working in Gold Coast. They would have to notify us. I believe in this kind of situation, guys, usually the department, what they do is like they stop accepting new regional visas from that moment forwards, right? And for those that were on the regional area before, they would be able to complete their work or something like that. I'm just guessing here, okay? That's a kind of answer that there is, that's a kind of question that there is no answer. We would need to wait to the department to publish what's gonna happen with people that were in that visa before, okay? That's another thing. When you deal when you deal with immigration, the migration regulation, guys, it's totally politics. Okay, like we have to be updating ourselves every day, and there is no guarantee of anything. The government does whatever they want, whatever they believe is better for the country. We just need to work with what we have on hands at the moment, you know, and we have to work with the current regulation, which can be changed at any time and the way that they want without further notice. Okay. All right. So next slide. How do we prove your work experience? The way that I prove the work experience from all engineers that I work with, I always get a letter from their previous employers explaining, like in a detailed letter explaining the period of time that you worked for them, what your position, the name of your position, which does not matter much, because what matters is what the company, your previous employer, is going to state that your tasks, which tasks you are doing at that moment. The tasks are the most important thing in the letter, you know, because if the tasks match the corresponding tasks of your occupation in Australia, that's how we prove your work experience, that you have done that work in that company, plus evidence of salary. We need to prove that you got paid. We need to prove, like, we need to show pay slips or tax return or your bank statement showing that that company was paying you monthly or weekly, you know. So basically we need a letter from your previous employers plus evidence that you got paid during that time that you worked for them. If you are a self-employer or something like that, it's possible to prove that as well, but it's just a little bit harder because you're going to need to prove income from your clients or from the jobs that you have done, and also probably get statements from them declaring, explaining what you did, you know. But it is possible as well to prove your work experience as a self-employed. The department do not accept casual employment. The employment must be full-time, part-time, or self-employed. Okay, but when you are contracted by a company in a casual, as a casual, the department won't accept that. Okay, so that's the important thing. The tasks that you are doing must be closely related to the occupation that you are trying to prove that you have that work experience. All right. Other things to consider, IELTS 6, it's going to be required for you to get a permanent visa, okay, 6 on each band of the component. The age limit is 44. Whenever you turn 45, you cannot get permanent visa through skills anymore. The company that is sponsoring you, they're going to have to spend money as well, Okay, there is a training fee that the government charges from the companies, which can go from $1,200 to $5,000. You know, depends on how many years they are offering you. And you also, if you start working if you get sponsored by a company and for somehow you lost that job, you know, or you legally you have 60 days to find another sponsor and transfer your visa to the new sponsor. This is legally it's 60 days. In reality, I have clients that stayed without under a sponsor visa without an employer for over a year. The department they does not prioritize much this type of situation, and also sometimes the company they don't notify the department that you lost the job, so the department doesn't know that you are not working, you know. But yeah, this is legally it's 60 days. Okay, guys, so I finished the first avenue, which is the ways that you can get a sponsor in Australia, which is a great way to stay in Australia. Okay, if you find a job opportunity, you can work in your field and get a permanent visa later on in the track. Okay, we're going to be talking now about the second avenue, the skilled visa. This one is all about points. All about points. Okay. You need to reach as many points as possible. The minimum points required is 65 points, but nobody's gonna be invited with 65 points. That's the reality. I'm going to share my screen here. Actually, let me just share the entire screen so you can visualize. Can you see my entire computer now?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to bring you here. You guys, if you don't have this access, you can go to the homeaffairs.com.au and go to Skill Select. Over here, you're going to be able to see exactly how was the last invitation round. Okay, 13th of March 2020. The government gave 1,750 permanent visas, 189 and 300, 491. We don't have numbers for the 190 because 190 it's a state permanent visa. So each state use the number of permanent visas they have the way that they want. Okay, so we need to check each state what they are doing and what is the score that they are requiring. But you can see here, guys, 85 points was the minimum points for the temporary visa 491. For the skilled independent visa 189, the candidates are 1,311 candidates with 90 points. There were candidates here with 115 points. So basically, if you are aiming, if you are looking to get a permanent visa through your skills, you need to find a way to reach 90 points. 85, 90, okay? Otherwise, it's gonna be really difficult to be invited.
That's really tough, eh?
Yes, it is. And they even show points score, the right occupations here, you know, the department notify accountants, they need 95 points. Electronics engineer, 85, electronic, and where is it? Industrial, mechanical and production engineers, 90 points minimum. Other engineers 90. So that's it, guys. We need to focus on getting a lot of points, and I'm gonna tell you how to do that. So let's go back to this screen here. Okay, so the skilled avenue works like this, guys. First thing, you need to make sure that your occupation is on the list and you are able to participate, right? So as I said, most of the engineers are on the medium long-term skill strategic list. So first thing that you're gonna need to do is the skills assessment. Skills assessment, Engineers Australia are going to provide a letter confirming that they recognize you as a electrical engineer, for example. And they also, whenever you apply your skills assessment, if you have work experience, you should also request them to recognize your working experience. And the work experience for points, it's valid only for the last 10 years. And it's valid only post-qualification, okay? Work experience gained during your university or before your qualification cannot be counted, all right? And also it's different when you count work experience offshore, outside Australia, and work experience in Australia. You cannot combine both of them, okay? So after we received the letter from Engineers Australia confirming that you were assessed positively, you got the skills assessment approved, that's when we can count your points, okay? And when we are counting your points, let me open here the points test for you guys to visualize how you can get points. Test. No, it's not this one. Just a second. Okay. Can you see there?
Yep.
Can everyone see? Okay.
Yes.
So how do you get points, guys? Based on your age, okay? These are the age brackets and the points that you get. So I'm going to suppose, I'm going just to create a scenario here, okay? You are between 25 to 32, 30 points, okay? You all have bachelor degree or master degree. You just get points based on your highest qualification. You don't get points like 15 for having a bachelor and another 15 for having a master. It doesn't work like that. So you get the highest degree, master or bachelor, 15 points, 45 points in total here. Work experience in Australia or outside of Australia. If you have more than 3 years of work experience post-qualification outside Australia, you'd get 5 points. More than 5, 10, more than 8 in the last 10 years, 15 points, okay? These two next requirements here, Australian study requirement and study in regional area, this is a very good way to get 10 points study in Australia. But you only get these points if you study course for more than 2 years, and the level of the course must be higher than diploma, okay? Or trades, certificates in trade course can count as well, okay? And if you live and study these 2 years in a regional area, you get 5 points for that. So there is a lot of, there are a lot of people in Australia studying 2 years looking to get these 10 points here, okay? And if you are married and you have a spouse, they can help you with points as well, but only if their occupation is also on the medium and long-term list, okay? And then also they need to do the skills assessment with the authority that recognize them, okay? And then they can help you with 10 points, all right? If you want to get some points, extra points, you can contact NAATI, which is NATI accreditation, which is the translators, okay? If you want to become a translator, you can get 5 points if you become one of them. But I don't know the process to become an accredited translator, okay? You need to contact them to find out. Probably they're gonna test the level of English that you have. You're gonna have to pay for an exam and to get this accreditation. Professional year, it's only available for some occupations like accountants, engineers. Sometimes they're able to get professional year. Professional year, it's when you study a master degree, a course, you get a post-study visa, and you pay for this professional year to work for someone. I would recommend actually get these 5 points through here. Working in Australia gives you 5 points as well. 1 year of work experience in Australia. But if you are on the post-study visa and you cannot find a sponsor, or you cannot find a job, you can always contact Engineers Australia and find out what is the process of doing a professional year with them. I know that for accountants, it costs around $9,000 for a year doing this professional year. Okay, I don't know how much Engineers Australia will charge for that. Okay, so this is automatic points that you receive whenever you lodge you receive an invitation to apply for the 190 permanent visa through a state. And this is 15 points here. It's automatic points that you also receive if you receive an invitation from a state to apply for the 491 regional visa. So this is automatic points, okay? IELTS, you get 0 points if you have 6 on each band of the exam. So you need 6 minimum to participate. 7 on each band of the exam, you get 10 points. 8 on each band of the exam gives you 20 points. So I think the tricky here, guys, is to work on your English, because most of you are gonna need to get this 8 on the IELTS to reach 85, 90, 95 points. Okay. And if you are married, you have a spouse, and they cannot help you with points doing their skills assessment, they can help you doing their English test. If they get average 6, they can help you with 5 points. But what if I'm not married, if I'm single? If you are single, you get automatically 10 points just for being single, okay? And the last way to get points, you can get 10 points if you study a master degree in engineering, okay? After completing your master degree in engineering, you can get 10 points for doing an engineering master, or science, or technology, or mathematics. Those are the only fields that gives you points, okay? Then you guys can work out how to calculate the points. You can go on the department's website as well to do that, or also you can book an appointment for us to verify how many points you can reach or what you need to do to get more points. But what I'm gonna say here is that a lot of you are in Australia studying, and it's important to work on trying to get this graduate visa that we're gonna talk in the next slide, okay? So after calculating your points, that's when you can express your interest. You can lodge this online application. It's free. They don't charge anything for that, except for the 190 and the 491 state applications. Then the state has a fee for that. And when you express your interest to get a permanent visa in Australia, this is not a visa application, okay? You don't get a bridging visa for that. If you want to express your interest and wait for an invitation from Australia, you must be in another visa. You must hold a valid visa. Doesn't matter if it's student, graduate visa, or whatever, but you need to be in a visa. Otherwise, you can also wait for an invitation from your country, okay? Then if you receive an invitation, then you can celebrate. You can celebrate that the next step is going to be apply for your visa, and that's when you have to prove to the department that you can justify, you can prove all the points that you told the department that you have here. Okay, that's all. From until the expression of interest, you haven't provided any proof or any document to the department. They didn't get anything. They're just believing on everything that you are saying and everything that you are expressing here. If you express something that is not true, and receive an invitation, your visa is going to be refused if you cannot prove that you have all that evidence before receiving the invitation. Okay, that's important. So basically, if you apply the expression of interest and you have 30 points because you are 32, you are waiting for an invitation and you turn 33 years old, you must come here in the expression of interest and change your points. You need to change from 30 to 25, because if you receive an invitation after turning 33 with the points that you claim having as a 32 years old, you're going to lose your chance of applying for a permanent visa. Okay, so just keep the expression of interest information up to date. Okay. So after receiving the invitation, apply for your visa, that's when you can get a bridging visa A if you applied for this visa in Australia. Okay. And then that's it. You're just going to wait for the department to decide your visa and then have to comply with the visa that you received. If it's the 189, you can live anywhere in Australia. You can work with whatever you want in Australia. You don't need to work as an engineer. If you receive the 190, you must live in the state that gave you that 190 visa for 2 years minimum. You can work doing whatever you want to do as well. And the 491 visa, the temporary visa, it's a 5 years temporary visa, and you are going to be able to apply for the permanent visa after 3 years. Okay, and from these 3 years, you must work full-time, minimum 1 year, something like that. Okay, but all three are great, and the best one is the 189 that gives you freedom to go to anywhere in Australia. You know, but either of them, you get Medicare, and you are gonna get a permanent visa and citizenship later on if you stay in Australia. Citizenship is another process, okay, guys? For you to get a citizenship and become Australian, you need to be living in Australia for the last 4 years, and during these 4 years, you cannot be absent from Australia for a certain period of time. And one of these 4 years must be under a permanent visa. So there are some requirements for citizenship there. And also, you can lose your permanent visa. If you get a permanent visa, the permanent visa lasts for 5 years. And if you leave Australia and don't come back for 5 years, you lose your permanent visa. Okay? So it's permanent, but it's not totally, it doesn't follow the name, okay? Was I clear about the skilled visa here?
Yep, all
Yes.
good.
All right, so what can you do to increase your chances in Australia? I always mention that this is what I showed you before, okay, guys? I always mentioned for you guys, if you are in Australia studying some course, I would recommend you to try to study a master degree for an engineer. That would be the best scenario. I know that it's really expensive and it's not everyone that has this financial condition to do that. But if you focus on the graduate visa, for Brazilians, for someone from Peru, that we have someone from Peru here, Argentinians, they can get work and holiday visa, which is great for them. But for Brazilians, for example, the only way for us to be able to work full-time in a temporary visa is through this 485 visa, the graduate visa. Okay, that this 485 visa, there are 2 streams, the graduate work stream and the post-study work stream, depending on the course that you are doing, okay? The best scenario is for those that study a master degree, minimum 2 years. For every student that arrived in Australia after 5th of November 2011, this post-study work stream can be used by these students if they study a bachelor or higher course, minimum 2 years in Australia. Doesn't matter which course, any bachelor or master degree for 2 years can grant you 2 years of post-study visa, plus a 3rd year if you study and live in regional areas, plus a 4th year if you study and live in any small town that is not those ones here: Gold Coast, Perth, Adelaide, Sunshine Coast, Canberra, Newcastle, Wollongong, Lara, Geelong, and Hobart. If it's a university outside of these cities here, as well as outside Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, then you can even get a 4th year of permission to work full-time, okay? But you must be living and working in regional areas, all right? So also the studying these 2 years is going to give you those points that I told you before by studying 2 years in Australia and studying and living these 2 years in a regional area. So this pathway, guys, it's a great way for you that is engineer. It's having trouble to find a job opportunity because you cannot work full-time. You can try to save money, you know, to pay for a master degree. You're gonna do investment, okay? Let's invest, save money, invest in a master degree for 2 years, and then you are gonna receive 2 other years to work full-time. Then you can find employers, you can show your how good you are and find opportunities. And also you can get other points to increase your points for the skilled visa. If you don't have much money, if you don't have money to pay for a master degree, there are some courses that you can qualify for the graduate work stream. Courses that are trade level or diploma level that qualifies you for an occupation on the medium and long-term list. And for example, if you study a course to become a civil engineering draftsperson or a technician, or electrical engineering draftsperson or a technician, there are a diploma level course for 2 years that can give you 18 months of graduate visa later on. They're much cheaper, you know, and that's a possibility there. So this graduate visa, just to conclude this graduate visa, this visa is not going to give you a permanent visa, but can buy you time, can give you opportunity to work full-time in Australia, to get more time to improve your English, to work in Australia, get points for work experience in Australia. So it opened doors, let's say like this, okay? And if you are here already on the student visa, why not? Why not try to focus on study something that can give you this 485 visa? Was I clear about it?
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you are already an engineer, so can you study like diploma, like or another stuff, like because you already higher degree, right?
Yeah, what you can, and what my clients do when they are writing their GTE letter, you have to write a letter, right? Explain why you are studying that course. Usually they explain that they are already an engineer and they would like to do the diploma in engineering construction to improve their level of English in the field. Because it's really different to speak English in a normal day by day with the terminologies that you are going to be using in your career. So you can explain that you are studying the technical course just to improve your English, you know, and to update for some softwares that they are using now, or this type of explanation, you know.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so the clients that I spoke with, the civil engineers and the electrical engineers that has tried to do that with me, I haven't heard back from them saying, hey, Carlo, I got my visa refused. They all got their visa approved. And now, guys, with this pandemic situation at the moment, you know, and nobody has much money to do that, to invest or to pay course, I believe the department is going to be much more flexible approving student visas than they were before, because they are going to be really welcoming your money to Australia. So that's our opportunity. You can, I think Erica, you are an electrical engineer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there is electrical engineering draftsperson and technician. If I show it on the, if we look here on the skill occupation list, you can see that civil engineer, drafts and technician, they are offering 1,000 permanent visas through the skilled program, and the electrical engineer, drafts and technician, 1,000 as well. They only gave 9 permanent visas for technicians and 50 for civil engineering, drafters and technicians. And another tip for you guys that are electrical engineer and civil engineers, a lot of engineers can be sponsored from these two fields. You guys can be sponsored as a technician. If you find a job that they don't want to sponsor as an engineer, but they need a technician, you don't need to do skills assessments or registration for the 482 visa. Just prove that you have a bachelor degree and more than 2 years working as an engineer. You are like overqualified to be a technician. That's another opportunity of sponsor or work that you guys can look for as well.
Okay, and how much is the course, like a draft person or technician in electrical engineer, for example?
Erica, I don't sell course. I provide assistance for several student agencies, and so I always send to them. You know, do you have any student agencies that you are dealing with at the moment?
I'm already in bridging visa at the moment for PR, but
okay.
for partnership.
For partner visa.
For partner visa, yes.
Okay, your partner is your partner Australian?
Yeah, he's Australian.
Okay, right. Yeah, look, but I can refer. Just send me an email later. I'll refer a student agency for you. They can look at into this. But I believe it's gonna be around $20,000 to $25,000 for 2 years, of course.
No, okay.
Okay, that's a 2 years course, which gives you that requirement for them to be able to apply for the 485 visa. They must do a course that lasts for 2 years. So that's why these colleges they organize their course to last for 2 years. But if you are already applying for a partner visa, you know, you don't need to do a 2 years course. You can find other ways to qualify yourself. You can even contact Engineers Australia to check some courses directly with them, you know.
Yes, because I don't know the path. I'm just entering now to see how it works. And I don't know, like, for example, the English test, if I have to do or not. Or
you're going to need to do the English test for you to be recognized as an engineer in Australia.
Okay, so I do the same test like everybody else?
Yeah, because doesn't matter if you are a student or not, or if you are trying to get a permanent visa as an engineer. Let's consider that you are now an Australian, okay? Because if your relationship is genuine and you are demonstrating that, you're going to get a permanent visa. Partner visas are the most certain most certain way to get a permanent visa in Australia. You only will not get the permanent visa if you break up, okay?
Yes.
So if it's treating you as an Australian already, what you need to do, it's like any other engineer that qualifies themselves in Australia. You need to register yourself. And to register yourself, because you are qualified from Brazil, you're going to need to do the skills assessment with Gerson. That Gerson has been explained to you. And for that, you need 6 on the IELTS in each band of the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So going back to my slides here.
Excuse me, Carlo. Nayane is asking, how is this skill assessment? I'm assuming that she's asking about this skill assessment that you had in the 485 slide. So I believe that you finish your, let's say, draftsperson course. And then that skill assessment for the 485 is still...
The skills assessments for 485 as a civil engineer drafter, you're saying?
Yeah, it looks like Diana, if you're still online, do you want to explain a little bit your question to Carlo? Please.
Because like the civil engineering technician is not Engineers Australia that recognize the technicians, it's VETASES, okay? And the civil engineering draftsperson can be Engineers Australia or VETASES.
Yeah.
All right, so civil engineering draftsperson with Engineers Australia, they're gonna do the same process as you are helping the engineers to do. You know, they're gonna have to get a provisional skills assessment. VETASES gives the provisional skills assessments as well. We'll just, with VETASES, we just prove that you have complete the 2 years course, and they give you the provisional assessment. VETASES with technician here as well, the same thing. VETASES has a plain skills assessments just for you to get the graduate visa 485, okay? And after you get the graduate visa 485, for you to apply for a skilled visa with VETASES, or with the skilled visa, for you to apply for a skilled visa later on, you must do the second stage of the VETASES skills assessment, which is you need to have 1 year work experience post-qualification for VETASES to recognize you, for you to be able to participate on the skilled visa. Okay, so I'll rephrase this again. When VETASES is assessing technicians and drafters, they will ask you only the qualification to give you opportunity to get the graduate visa. During your graduate visa, you are able to work full-time for 18 months. During that 18 months, you need to find a job and work minimum 1 year part-time or full-time, for then lodge another application with VETASES, getting a full skills assessment for you to be able to use this full skills assessment to apply for the skilled visa, or for any of those, or for any other visa that requires a skills assessment. Okay.
All right.
Engineers Australia, they don't require skills work experience. They can recognize you only based on your qualification and the episodes that you are going to write down.
Yeah. And Carlos Camac, he's asking, what's the process to get the technical recognition? Which entity provide that? Yeah, thank you.
Technical recognition with civil engineering tech, you're saying, or electrical engineering tech?
Carlos, if you want to ask the question, yeah, you can.
Yeah, because I think I would repeat my answer. It's with VETASES.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. He's saying civil engineering, but I think he already said VETASES. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's going to be VETASES.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about if there is a Brazilian that did a technical course back in Brazil?
Then same thing, VETASES, the way that they recognize tech guys, I'll open here for you, okay? If you open their page, come to a skills assessment for migration, then you can choose the occupation here. I'm gonna go through professional occupations here, click view the whole list. So this is the whole list from VETASES and what they require, okay? So I'm gonna find here, civil engineer, draftsperson, and technician. They recognize both of them. They even have an information sheet here, okay? So what they're saying is that for them to recognize a civil engineer, the civil engineer must have a level of qualification diploma or higher, okay? This is for to qualify, to recognize them as a civil engineer and draftsperson. Technician is going to be the same thing. They require you to have a qualification level diploma or higher. So if you have a bachelor, you have a higher degree, okay? And if the qualification is high relevant field to the occupation, then at least 1 year of high relevant post-qualification work experience completed in the last 5 years. So if someone that is qualified in Brazil as a technician have a level of diploma or higher and more than 1 year of post-qualification the last 5 years, they can be recognized by VetaSys as a civil engineer and drafter, or technician is going to be the same requirement.
Yeah, and you said that Engineers Australia also does for one of the two. Is it the draftsperson?
Engineers Australia does for draftsperson.
All right.
Engineers
And
Australia.
And because Engineers Australia doesn't require work experience, if you are going to do for draftsperson, perhaps it's better if you don't have work experience to have with Engineers Australia.
Yeah, it would be. As a drafter, I would prefer to do I would recommend to do with Engineers Australia. As technician, you don't have a choice. It has to be through VetaSys.
Yeah. Nicola is asking, what about mechanical engineer? There is a similar entity.
Mechanical engineer technician, or so just mechanic engineer? Because mechanical engineer technician, it's on the short list. It's not on the medium long-term list. This makes a huge difference. Like first, but mechanic engineer and technician, it's TRA, Trades Recognition Australia. It's another authority, and usually TRA, they require you to have qualification equivalent to level of diploma in Australia or certificate, and 3 years of full-time work experience. One of these years of work experience must be in the last 3 years. Okay, I can just to let you all know, usually when a client needs a skills assessment with Engineers Australia, I usually send to Gerson because he has been helping a lot of people doing that. But if for people that needs a skills assessments with TRA and VetaSys, I can assist clients to do that. I have been doing a lot of recognitions with TRA and VetaSys. Okay.
That's good, Carlo. Yeah.
Any other questions?
See the chat here.
If you guys need like to book an appointment to review your case, or to create a strategy, or if you want to discuss something further, you can send me an email to talk@bluemigration.com.au. Okay, if you find a sponsor opportunity and your employer wants more information about how to sponsor you, please get in touch with me. I can send you some material to send to your employer. And as I said, for me, it's a very good lead. It's a potential client that I can get there, you know.
Yeah, and I'm going to, like yesterday, I made available in my YouTube channel. So today's webinar is going to be recorded, and I'm going to publish in my YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch the replay, and then check some information, and then just talk to Carlo. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Carlo. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you very much for your time.
I learned a lot as well. Yeah. So
look, it's a lot of information. I kind of like try to summarize as much as possible, you know, but the immigration is complicated, changes all the time. It's important to tell the date. Today, the webinar was done on the 16th of April, 2020.
Yeah,
because
it changes every day.
Something can happen, you know, and everything is different. That's how migration regulation works in Australia. But yeah, we just need to keep up to date to all the news, and with all this pandemic situation now as well, there are a lot of changing happening. I have a slide. I put a slide here, guys. If you want to get information about what is happening, all the changes that might affect you in Australia, just go to the homeaffairs.gov.au. They have all the information about temporary visas, people that apply for partner visas as well and want to return to Australia. There are a lot of situations there, okay, that they are clarifying, and a lot of questions without answers yet as well. So there are a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening at the same time, and the department is trying to solve everybody's problem as much as they can.
Yes, and because I have a lot of engineers that they ask me questions, either in the Telegram or Facebook or even emails, and a lot of the questions are migration related. I thought, oh, it's better to bring somebody that really knows about the subject. One, because I'm not a migration agent, so I'm not allowed to provide advice. And a lot of things, a lot of times I see some people trying to help, but looks like they're giving the wrong advice as well. So it's better to bring somebody that's competent and knows about migration. And yeah, certainly Carlo can help you in your process. It's always good to have an agent to do your planning, so you don't waste your time and you don't waste your money.
That's it. That's truth. And there's always ways to create a strategy where there is no way to lose anything. You know, that if the worst case scenario, if you have to go back home, you know, you can go back home with a qualification in your better qualification in your CV, with work experience by working full time in Australia through that graduate visa, and with money in your pocket as well. You know, and there's always ways to create a good strategy for you to win in every case or every scenario. But it's important to study the correct course that can help you out, you know. Yeah. And for you engineers, there are several courses that you can be doing. There are some engineers as well doing master degrees in project management, which is important for any engineer, you know, that is always working projects, and they are the cheapest masters. You can find masters in project management for 2 years for $32,000 a year, $35,000 a year. This was before this pandemic situation. Now you might even get better price if you have
get a better deal, good deal. Yeah,
because the courses are much cheaper now than what it used to be. That's a good time to look for a course.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, that's great, Carlo. Thank you very much for that.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks, Gerson, for inviting me for this webinar. I always like to participate with you when you're talking with engineers.
No, that's okay, Carlo. I appreciate your time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for spending this time, 1 hour, 15 minutes, listen to me. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks, Carlo. Yeah.
Thank you. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.